Hello and welcome to Tuesday Tea Time. We're on Thursday this week and I am sitting out in the pasture here with Atlas, who is taking a nap. And it's just a really beautiful day on San Juan Island. I am just back from 3 weeks in Europe teaching, and it's really good to be home. I'll admit I'm a little bit tired. So sitting out in the pasture while Atlas takes a nap feels just about perfect to me. I spent all morning with my boys, Atlas and Ari and Ocasio. Ari and Ocasio are in the other pasture. They haven't come over to visit us, but Atlas and I are enjoying our nap. He's going to snooze while I talk. So today, I thought that I would talk a little bit about needs and wants. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot for a couple of weeks. And I have some ideas that I feel like are going to help me with my horse training. So most of us think about a need as something that you can't do without. Like we all need sleep. We all need food. There's some basic physical needs that we can't live without. And horses have these as well. But I think that I want to take this theory a little bit farther, and that's to the feeling behind a need. What does it feel like to need something? And I'm doing this tea time here with Atlas because this is something I've had to think about a lot with him. Because Atlas came from a history of being fairly abused, he needs to feel safe. And that's kind of tricky because a lot of people have hurt him in the past. And how do I convince him that I'm different, that I'm not one of those people? And this is something that I've been puzzling about for a while. I've been thinking, how do I convince a horse that they have what they need in terms of safety? How do you convince them they're safe when they think they're not? And so I started thinking a little bit more about the nature of a need. Hey, Julia, welcome to tea time. When we have a need, I think that humans and horses both do this, where when we feel like we need something, if we don't get it, or if we don't get reassurance that we have it, the stress keeps going up. And when stress keeps going up, you will get more and more self-defensive. So the higher the stress is, the more likely you are to think only about your own needs and not about anybody else's needs. And this is difficult when we work with a horse that has been abused or has a bad history with people, because, their need is really, really real. They really need to feel safe. But how do you convince them that they are safe when their stress goes up? And then as their stress goes up and they get self-defensive, they end up in situations where they feel like they just have to defend themselves and they don't feel like anybody else is looking out for them. And this is tricky because when horses go into fight or flight, we often feel like we have to stop it. We often feel like it's not safe. We need to correct the behavior. And that's true. That's true to some extent. But the thing is, if a horse feels like they're unsafe and they feel a need to prove that they are safe enough, they will often use self-defense, fight or flight. And if we stop that fight or flight, which we're going to do for safety, but if we do, we've then proven to them that the thing that they felt they needed to do for safety wasn't okay for us. And their need to feel safe then seems like it's not very important to us. So we're in a tricky situation with any horse that feels unsafe. How do we prove to them that they are safe with us without taking away their self-defenses? And, this is a really tricky problem that I think can't be dealt with when the feeling of a need is too intense. So when you really, really need something, you're going to defend yourself, and you're not going to think about anybody else's needs. You're only going to think about your own needs. We have to lower the stress first. When we lower stress, a need becomes a want. And the difference between a need and a want is the level of intensity that you go at it with. So when you want something, you're willing to try and get it from different angles. If I do this, do I get what I want? If that doesn't work, maybe I back off, I think about it a little bit, I play with the ideas, I try it again, see if I want this, can I get it by coming at it from a different angle, from thinking outside the box, from being creative. This ability to treat things as a want instead of a need means that you're willing to give it a little time, a little patience, and you're willing to cooperatively work with others to get it. And so this is something I've been thinking about a lot. When we have a horse, like my stallion here, Atlas, although he's a gelding now, he's not a stallion anymore. I gotta change my habit with my words. When we have a horse that has a history of defending themselves against people, what we want to do is find a place and a time where they feel safe. And when they feel safe, you need to prove to them that their needs are as important as your needs. But more than that, when their stress is low, they're not really going to be feeling their needs so much. They're going to be feeling their wants. And so their wants are the things that they can work towards creatively, cooperatively, interactively, and they work with others to get what they want. Now, there's definitely a lot of misplaced needs. So there's a lot of things horses think they need, they don't really need, but they get in a high enough stress state that they then end up using fight and flight to get what they want. And that's more of the feeling that should go with the need. If I really, really need something, I might not pay attention to other people's needs. I might just take care of my own needs. But if I can lower the stress, then I can start thinking a little bit more playfully, a little bit more cooperatively, a little bit more creatively. And with this idea of advance and retreat, we try and get what we want. If it's not working out, we back off, we rethink it, we plan a different way, and then we try and get what we want again. But we do it in a way that takes into account everybody else's wants. And that, to me, is the real difference between something you want and something you feel like you need. So if you have a horse that is acting really defensive, they have a lot of fight or they have a lot of flight, there's probably some unfilled need. There is a need that they have that makes them inconsiderate of others. And if we can figure out what that need is and fill it, then their stress goes down and they start creating everything in life as a want instead of a need. And when you want something, it's better when you have friends. Wanting something is way more fun if you have friends that'll do it with you. And so I've really been playing in this last teaching tour with talking about this thing that I call getting ahead of a problem, getting ahead of a concern. So a problem or concern is where a horse starts really thinking about themselves more than anybody else. And if you know that they're going to run or they're going to fight, if you can get where they're going before them, all of a sudden they feel like you understand them. So if they're going to run to the gate, if you run to the gate first and you get there first, and then they follow you and they end up at this place with a friend that understands their needs, didn't get in their way, didn't try and stop them, didn't try and counteract those self-defensive behaviors, all of a sudden the stress starts going down. And when the stress starts going down, then you have a horse that's able to operate in terms of wanting things instead of needing them. And that is a lot more fun. To do that, as people, we also have to change the way we think. So if horses are dangerous, honestly, we need them to not hurt us. That's just the way it works. And I'm not going to change that. So I don't want anybody getting hurt because of my talk on needs and wants. You need to stay safe first, which means that if the horse is not considering you, you do need to protect yourself. Do not let them hurt you. Then, after you're safe enough, then you want to live by example. Show the horse that you understand them, that you are interested in the things that they're interested in, that you want to know about the things that pique their curiosity. And when you show them a shared interest, they feel like they're not alone. And when they feel like they're not alone, their needs start turning into wants because they feel like they can use a collaboration with others to get them. And I really want to encourage everybody to tap into that creativity, the ability to try something, see if it works. If it doesn't, back off, think about it, try it again. The advance and retreat, and to keep trying things until you find something that works for everybody. So I'm home for 3 weeks. I get to play with my own horses and really explore my own ideas. It's really fun when I go out and I teach and I get to interact with a lot of people who are on the same path as I am, really wanting a collaborative, harmonious experience with their horses. And I give a lot of advice and I learn from a lot of horses, but then I gotta come home. And I gotta come home and put all of that theory into practice. Yeah, Laurence, exactly. Bringing some curiosity to the situation when you see your horse having a bad mood or an attitude for a moment. Exactly. If we can bring some curiosity to that instead of defensiveness, the horse is so much more likely to join us and settle their stress, settle their anxiety, settle their concern, and start to act like maybe we can find solutions together and that we can find a way to make everything better together instead of being self-defensive. So Julia says, like when I was a little girl, just being a friend and maybe one day best friends. Yes. Yeah, if we can be some sort of a friend, then it grows and it changes and it develops until we're best friends. And to have friends and community is one of the things that really helps us live at a lower stress level. And when we live at a lower stress level, we do a better job of thinking about others' needs while we fill our own needs too. And then it's a little bit more of the feeling of, I want this, but I'll get it when I figure out how to get it. I don't need to fight for it. I don't need to hurt anybody else for it. And I can consider everybody else's needs while I try and get it. So those are my thoughts for today. If we can see it as a spectrum, want and need are a spectrum, and somewhere between those, we can shift into really thinking of other people's perspective, other horses' perspective, and then doing a better job of problem solving. Thank you, Kasia. It was great to see you in Poland as well. And I look forward to being back in September in Poland, and I will be in Switzerland and the UK in July. So all of that's fun to look forward to, but for now, I'm going to enjoy this nap time with Atlas and continue thinking about the creative ways that he and I can build more wants together cooperatively. Thank you, Laurence. He is still a stallion at heart. Yes, he's my boy. Meg says, does this live begin from your Facebook page? Yes. So this is always on my Facebook page. Usually it's on Tuesdays, and it will be there in recorded form. So if you guys want to see it, if you're just catching the end, it will be up as a recording in a few minutes. So, yeah, enough? All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful day.